For all you real estate investors, I've got a story for you. $5,000 house flipping flop. I am all about learning from the mistakes that we make as entrepreneurs, and I wanted to share with you the story of this house that we flipped. So before we get started, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel here because we're going to have lots of content coming out like this, lots of great things about entrepreneurial education, how to make money, how to create wealth, how to start an online business, how to really pursue freedom in every area of your life. So subscribe to that channel. There'll be the button down there, and then you can also click on that notification bell to get notified whenever I put out some new content. Let's talk about this house flipping project. In the last video, I talked about the important things as a real estate investor is that you have to have a mentor, you have to have a plan, and you have to buy the house correctly. If those three things are in place, even when stuff happens, you're gonna still come out okay. So I called this video $5,000 house flipping flop because we made some mistakes, we did some things right, we did some things wrong, and I want to share that story with you so that someone else can learn what not to do. So we had a plan, we bought it correctly, and I had a mentor who had laid out a plan for us. So what happened was the day after closing, we show up with our truckload of tools. I'm pulling my tool trailer behind her, and my daughter and I go to open up the house and go to work, and we notice there's a car in the garage. So we open up the door and we go in, and guess what? The lady who sold us the house is still in the house day after closing. And so we're kind of like, hi? What are you doing here? Well, here's what she said. I decided I'm not going to leave. Now, if you've never heard of that, in this state of Colorado, it's called a squatter. That's somebody who decides they're not going to leave. They're just not going to leave, and you're going to have to just figure out what to do. So after I got over the shock of that, I'm a problem solver. I'm an entrepreneur. I go back to my, what would I do if this happens? And I said, okay, well, I own the house now, and I put, I think it was $70,000 in her pocket to pay off her foreclosure, put $70,000 in her pocket, and left me enough room to do the remodel and make a little bit of money on the resale. Well, she decides she's not going to leave, and so she is kind of a squatter, and so she's got stuff piled everywhere. And so there was a lot of shock factor going on there because I didn't even know what I was going to do. I had never even heard of squatters' laws. Well, I did a little research quickly because we left that day. I mean, she's like, no, you can't come in because I'm staying, I'm not leaving. So I went home and I did some research. What's going on? How do I get out of this? Do I have to evict her? What do I do? I'm new to Colorado. So the next day I go back, not with my daughter, because she's like, I'm out. I'm not going there. You figure it out. So I go there and I go talk to her and say, hey, look, I understand you're a little emotional over the situation, but you were paid, your foreclosure, your credit's still good. You got to go. And she's like, no, I'm not leaving. I said, you have to go. I'm going to be moving in here into this is my house. And she said, well, you can't because I'm here. And I said, well, I can because it's my house. So I spent a lot of time talking to some other people and praying about this. Like, what are we going to do? Oh my goodness. So I talked to an attorney, and he said, well, do everything you can to avoid having to do an eviction. Now, I knew this from prior times working with renters. You don't want to do an eviction if you can help it. You can try and figure out something else to do. So I was like, okay, I got that. I'm going to try to do everything I can to just talk her out to getting out. So I told her, I went there the next day and I said, hey, guess what? We're going to start working on the house and you're going to have to go. So we just showed up and we started working on the house. And she said, well, what are you doing? That's my stuff. That's my stuff. I said, well, I'm moving your stuff because you're leaving and it's my house, so you got to go. Things escalated. They got a little worse. She got a little belligerent. She got a little mad, threw a couple tantrums. It got really ugly. It was as if she manifested a demon. I mean, it was bad. Name calling, you name it. And I said, okay, calm down. You've got to go. Why don't you try and find a place to live? She goes, I can't find a place to live, so you're just gonna have to put up with me. I'm like, well, no, you've got to go. I'm gonna be here working on the house. We're tearing out this, we're tearing out all the carpets, we're doing all this stuff. You gotta go. So this went on for a couple of days where we kept showing up, and then I hired a couple of people to come in, and we just started playing some awesome, positive, optimistic music, and And we just started having a good time and just ignoring her. And she was getting all upset of us. And this is a little crazy, but my attorney said, Mark, just don't be stupid. Be careful. Because it got a little ugly at times, but we just kept doing the work, and she finally got tired of it. She's like, fine, I'm going to find a place to stay, but I don't have any money. And I'm like, you have money. We just put $70,000 in your pocket. So I actually helped her move. I became a problem solver. She's not going to get out for another 20 days. She kept saying, well, I'm going to put it off. I'm going to put it off. I don't have to go. I don't have to go. I don't have to leave for another 10 days. I said, hey, what if I paid for a moving van? She said, what? I said, what if I paid for a moving van and got 5 guys to come over and help you move? Would that help things go along? I'm trying to be a problem solver. You're an entrepreneur. When an entrepreneur runs into a problem, you solve problems. You're a problem solver, not a problem announcer. That's the entrepreneurial mindset, right? So I paid for the moving van. I paid for 5 guys to come over, and we packed her up. It took us like 3 days. Moving vans, it cost me, I think, $8,000 to get her out. That's not including the attorney's fees. Now, thankfully, the attorney, because I never had to file an eviction, it only cost me a couple $1,000s. So all said and done, maybe $8,000 to $10,000 that it cost me to get her out. Was that worth it? As an entrepreneur, I'm asking you, as a real estate investor, is that worth it? I think it was, because I got her out. I was able to move on and work on the remodel. So now I'm 2 weeks behind schedule. And I forgot to tell you an important part. This particular house, I had a hard money loan. What does that mean? I'm paying to borrow money. I'm paying interest on the money I borrowed. Hard money loan is a little bit more interest rate in order to acquire the property. He paid for the acquisition. I paid for the remodel costs. I'm not going to go into the details other than to say that I borrowed money at a high interest rate in order to acquire this property, to sell it. I knew my numbers. Remember I said you got to have a plan? I got a mentor, you got a plan. So I knew the time was ticking. The clock was ticking. We got to get this thing done. So it took us another 2 weeks to get most of the house finished. I hired 2 more people, but then we ran into another problem. As we were remodeling the house, we found more and more problems that were not disclosed because she was a hoarder. And when I did the walkthrough in the house, I couldn't see the problems. So when we got her stuff out, we started discovering, oh, we have to replace this carpet. There's another $3,000 for the whole house carpet. Okay, check that off the profit. Then we discovered we had a few other problems. We couldn't afford now to remodel the kitchen completely. So we said, well, we're just going to paint the cabinets. So we decided to paint the cabinets. Long story short, I talked to my painter. We had some problems. The paint wasn't adhering. I wound up putting 7 coats of paint on these cabinets. 7. We cleaned it, we deglossed it, we did all the stuff, we sanded it, we vacuumed it, and the paint for some reason didn't stick. We tried to cover it over, it bubbled. We had to sand it all off and put on 3 more coats, and it was ridiculous. But you keep going, right? Charge the hill, man. I'm working, we're all right. We finally got it done 40 days after we started. 20 days overdue. Put it on the market. A hailstorm hits Colorado Springs, and the real estate market comes to a screeching halt for 45 to 60 days. Everybody was freaking out. So I sat on that house for another 45 days. And you're thinking, this sounds pretty painful. Let's go back to what I said earlier. If you have a good mentor, a good plan, and you bought it right, you'll be okay even when stuff happens. So we sat on that thing for 45 days and had to drop our price and had to drop our price and had to drop our price. We got it sold, and we still wound up netting $5,000 at the end of the job. Profit. Now let me ask you a question. Was it worth it? If you're a real estate investor, you're an entrepreneur, do you know that sometimes you win and sometimes you win less? Right? We gained a whole lot of information about that. I now know how to deal with squatters' laws. I know how to deal with evictions. I now know how to deal with kitchen cabinets that don't want to paint. I know how to deal with moving somebody, and I would have made decisions a lot quicker to get her out and avoid a lawsuit and an eviction. So that's what I wanted to share with you, this story, that even though it took us, I think for all said and done, total of about 3 months that we sat on that property, I wound up having to pay 2 months more of interest on the hard money loan. So yeah, that hurt a little bit, but we still made out because why? We bought it at the right price. If you buy it at the right price, you make money when you buy, not when you sell. And that's the moral of this story, is that keep going, become a problem solver, not a problem announcer. All right, that's it. This is Mark with Freedom Hunters. Stick around. We're going to have more videos like this coming out. Please subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment. I enjoy having the comments in there. And I'm also going to put a link down in the bottom in the description. This is going to be a link for you to join my Facebook group. We're going to have a Facebook group that I'm putting together that's going to be teaching entrepreneurial education, how to get out of debt, how to create wealth, how to build businesses in the online space of the digital marketing business, because there's great ways to make money in the online digital space these days. And I just wanted to share that with the world and help a lot of other people get time freedom in their life. Because when you get rid of the debt thing, you get the monkey off your back and you start having prosperity in your life. It's a whole lot better. So hope to see you on the next video. This is Mark with Freedom Hunters. See you later.